What's going on, guys? My name is James Davis. I am a filmmaker out of North Stonington, Connecticut, and today we are going to be learning how to do this.
So we had to get up pretty early today. Me and Logan got up at 4 a.m. I don't know about you, what time did you get up? 3. No, you did not. Little city area, gonna peep sunrise. It's already rising a little bit. Should have time for some shots, right?
Okay, so that was a quick clip out of one of Matt Komo's videos. If you're not familiar with him, hop on YouTube and give him a quick search. He makes some really neat videos. All right, so let's minimize that. Head into Premiere and let's learn how to actually do this. So I've downloaded this clip and threw it in my timeline just so I can walk you guys through this a little bit more carefully, because if you're not listening, it's a little bit hard to catch. Basically what we're listening for, or what we're listening to here, is the main audio track. As it fades into Matt talking, or the dialogue of this video, something really cool happens to that main audio track. So let's just press spacebar and listen.
So we had to get up pretty early today. Me and Logan got up at 4 a.m. I don't know about you, what time did you get up? 3. No, you did not.
So if you're listening carefully, it almost sounds as if that main music track that he's using is muffled or underwater. And I'll press play again and we'll listen to what happens as we come out of this dialogue and go into the rest of the video.
Little city area, gonna peep sunrise. It's already rising a little bit. Should have time for some shots, right?
Just like that. So that end part there was a really good example. You could hear the music being muffled, and then as we start to head into the rest of the video here, the audio track comes back up to normal and sounds completely clear. We are going to use this same technique in one of our videos. So I'm just going to scroll over here. This is part of a testimonial video that I'm making for a photography client, and under here these blue tracks are dialogue from the actual talking headshots that are taking place. And what I want to do is I want to adjust my audio to do the same thing that we just saw in Matt's video. And the way that we're going to achieve that is just by lowering the level of the actual audio itself, as well as placing a low pass filter on there and adjusting the keyframes. Adjusting the audio level is probably the easiest part. All we have to do here is click on our main audio track, and there's two ways that we can do this. We can either set the keyframes within the effects control panel, which takes a little bit longer. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to add them within our timeline here. So there's two different ways to adjust our audio level here. We can either do it up here in our effects control panel, or we can do it within our timeline. I'm going to choose to do it inside the timeline just because it's a little faster. If your audio doesn't look like this, if you don't have that white line running through the middle of your audio track, this is how you get it. You want to make sure that that track, whatever track your music is on, is maximized by double clicking. I'm going to right click on the audio track itself, and at the very bottom of my menu it says show clip keyframes, and there's a few options here. I'm going to go to volume and then level, and as you can see here I already have that little bullet point around my level, so that is what this white line is displaying for me. So from here I'm just going to zoom in a tiny bit, and we're going to add a keyframe on the outside and then the inside of this audio track, or our dialogue track. So I'm just going to do that by clicking and holding Command and putting one keyframe on the outside, one keyframe on the inside. Scroll over. This is the end of that particular dialogue, or that couple talking. So again, add a keyframe, keep holding that Command button, add another keyframe. So now I have 4 separate keyframes, and in the middle here is the section that I'm going to lower. For this particular circumstance, before I actually lower this down, I'm going to let you listen to the audio over the dialogue to hear how distracting this is without adjusting it. It's pretty obvious there that the music is very overpowering. So just by adding those 4 keyframes and lowering this to my liking, I'm thinking somewhere around 10 dB is going to be good. 10.5 will probably suffice. Now if I listen to this,
a lot of people, they start with Danielle for their wedding
Okay, so that's already a lot more tolerable. The music is lowered down volume-wise, and now the attention is really more on the dialogue than it is on the music. But because this is a piano track and we have the highs of those piano keys, I think there's a little bit more that we can do to this to make it sound better, and that is that low-pass filter. So I'm just going to type in low pass. And right here I have my low pass filter, and I'm just going to take this, drag it, and drop it right onto my clip here. Okay, so basically I'm going to want my low pass to keep pace with my volume here. So when it goes down and when it comes up, I want that low pass to come on, then go away. So I'm just going to click right here so that I can see all of these different keyframes. And I am going to go back to my very first keyframe. Okay. Now, for this particular song, or for whatever song you're using, you're going to have to kind of experiment with the hertz level of your music. What this low-pass filter is doing, I'll try to explain this as basic as I can, but you might have to research this a little bit on your own. Basically, what a low-pass is doing is it's creating a shelf, and it's only letting frequencies underneath that be heard. So right here you can hear, or you can see, it says 1495. I can already tell you this isn't going to be quite low enough for this track, but let's just play this back so that you can hear what it sounds like now. Okay, so you can hear it is a little bit more muffled, but it's not exactly what we want here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to back up to my first keyframe here. This is my first volume keyframe where I'm going to start my animation. So click on that guy right there, and it's going to give us a keyframe. Now I know that I want this number to be lower because that wasn't quite muffled enough, but this first keyframe is going to be the one that has the music sounding normal. Now I know for this particular audio track I'm not going to have any frequencies that are over, let's say, 10,000, so I'm just going to put 10,000. Enter. Okay, so my first keyframe is going to be 10,000. Now if I go to my next keyframe right here, I can get there very easily and precisely by pressing this little button right here, go to my next keyframe on my level, and it's going to bring us right there. Now for here, I'm going to add another keyframe for my low pass, but this time it's going to be a much lower value. We're going to enter something in here like, let's say, 600 hertz. Boom. So now if I scroll back here, and I'll lower this down just so you can see exactly what's happening. If I scroll back and we listen to this audio now.
A lot of people, they start with Danielle for their wedding photography or engagement, and then they use her for maternity, and then...
So now those piano keys are a lot more muffled. They're not quite as distracting. They're actually so muffled that I can bring up this audio track just a tad so that you can hear a little bit more of the underscore with them talking.
A lot of people, they start with Danielle for their wedding photography or engagement, and then they...
So now you can hear how muffled that is. And I'll actually mute my dialogue tracks here so that you can hear everything that's going on. I'm sorry, there's so many audio tracks on this guy. Okay, so now all we're going to listen to now is the actual music track. All of my dialogue is muted. Okay, so as you can tell, that took the highs out of my piano that are being played, and it makes this a lot less distracting from the actual dialogue. The only thing left to do here is to add my final two keyframes so that the music comes back up to normal after this testimonial is finished being given. And there's a few ways that we can do this, but we're going to do the easiest way. So back here, I already have my first two keyframes. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit so we can see these. Okay, so I have my first keyframe here, which is my higher frequency. And then I have my second keyframe here, which is my lower frequency, where everything gets kind of muffled. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click that second keyframe, press Command-C to copy, and then I'm going to use my toggle arrows here to go over to my next keyframe. So this is where my audio starts going up. So again, I want my low pass to go from being super muffled to being completely clear again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste that keyframe. I'm going to go back again, and I'm going to copy that outside keyframe. So Command C, and then I'm going to use my arrows here again on my level adjustment to go over, go up to there, and this is where our higher frequency keyframe is going to go. So now, if we listen, we're going to go from muffled. This is without the dialogue, by the way. Back up to normal. That is one different way, or that is a technique that you can use when you have talking shots within your clips and your music's a little bit distracting. All you have to do is lower the physical level of that track and then apply a low pass filter and keyframe it in and out, and you end up with a very tolerable track. Alright guys, so I'm just going to turn all this stuff back on so that you can hear what this finished product sounds like.
A lot of people, they start with Danielle for their wedding photography or engagement, and then they use her for maternity and then newborn, and it just keeps going on and
First
on.
year.
She's definitely like she's a repeat photographer that you use.
Yeah, my cousin actually used Danielle for her wedding. We saw the photo.
Okay, I'm just going to fast forward a little bit so you guys don't have to watch that entire thing. And then at the very end,
Help Danielle capture even more great photos.
okay. So that is essentially how to lower the level of your audio using keyframes, as well as adding a low pass filter and keyframing that in and out to give you this nice kind of muffled sound underneath any kind of spoken dialogue in your videos, so that the attention remains on what's being said and not on the music track underneath it. Alright, well that was the Matt Komo low pass audio effect. If you did find this video helpful, make sure you smash that like button, maybe even consider subscribing to the channel, and I will see you guys next time for another video tutorial.